Pogos, okay? We've probably seen them before. What are Pogos? They're an extensive plyometric exercise, generally speaking. We tend to work through quite high reps on the Pogos, and we're looking to work through the kind of muscular tendon unit. We're looking to utilize the lower limb compliance where the soleus, connects to the Achilles tendon, and we're looking to be springy and reactive. There's more contribution through the tendon. We don't want too much knee flexion like normal jumps in the athletic position. We want to be relatively stiff through the knee joint and then land with a spring-like mechanism. We're going to go quite intensive on this. So hands on hips. Okay, so yeah, we're looking to be springy and reactive. Try not to flare up into extension. Rib cage to pelvis locked down, neutral head position. And I want you to spend the least time on the floor and get as high as possible, okay? But there's one thing, and this is something that we do coach. You give me your hand.
Yep.
We look at, I'll probably show my age here, if anyone remembers the river dance, right? Michael Flatley used to dance like this, yeah, with his toes down, okay? We actually want to utilize the ankle complex to have a spring-like mechanism into the ground. So if I go toes down, kind of plantar flex there, I'm not really getting much. If I dorsiflex my ankle, I'm then, you can see it's a lot more powerful into the ground. I'd like you to try and do the same. And there's obviously a skill component here. So just coach toes up, okay? And then spring into the ground and slap the ground. Okay, ready for it? Yeah, springy and reactive like a kangaroo. Let's get it. Spring, spring, spring. Good man. Yeah, good man. Face forwards. Don't worry about the ground. Yeah. And kill the landing. Last one. Boom. So overcoming isos, you've got overcoming and yielding isometrics. Overcoming isos are basically working against an immovable object. Overcoming isos working against an immovable objects. A goal is recruitment of high threshold motor units, and they're great. And we actually use these on our fight week taper because they're not going to elicit too much fatigue. The accumulation of fatigue is lower. We like our jumps. We understand why we do our jumps. But if, for example, a fighter's got a big weight cut, you've got high eccentric stress in jumps. So it might not be the smartest thing to do loaded jumps on fight week. Some fighters, we do get away with it. But again, it's knowing your athlete and knowing where they're at. But that's where the use of overcoming isometrics have been really good for us. We can look at joint angle specificity as well. So if we're looking at, John there, he's in a pretty relevant and specific joint angle. John's actually a southpaw, but anyway, to how he throws a shot. So yeah, many a benefit there. And the athletes like it as well on fight week. Like, just break the fucking pins. That is the cue. Rip it up, break the pins. And massive neurological outputs from that. We tend not to, again, based on Alex and Tara's work, is we don't go above 10 seconds. We actually work through 6-second maximal ISO. We work at 100% maximal. Bottoms up kettlebell press. I'm sure we've seen it, but why do we do it? Little cues, guys, that we have. Again, stack ribcage pelvis. We don't want to be in this flared up extension posture, okay? So lock yourself down. Exactly that. Might even get a nice little stretch through anterior hip there, though that's not the goal. We're actually going to get Tommy in his left hand to clench his left knuckle and away from the body. So wait for that left hand away from the body. Yeah, God, my coaching cues must be terrible.
No,
that's right. And all this is going to do, you've got something called the principle of irradiation. You lock that through, you're getting co-contractions and a reflective firing of all of the postural stabilizing muscles. You then get that. So at that 90-degree position, lock through here, lock through there, everything's tight. Come on, Tommy, don't let me down here, bud. Right, and then come up into extension. Good, without any flared posture. Don't let the elbow flare out either. Stay pretty neutral there. Yeah. Yeah, left hand clench, lock through the midline. Lovely. Why do we like this as well? We're allowing the scapula to move around the rib cage. We're trying to come up into extension through there. You will find, though, a lot of boxers are limited in overhead range, in shoulder flexion. So again, you decide as to whether they're okay doing this. Lovely. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I can explain from that anyway. So yeah, all of the kind of scapular stabilizer muscles, the small intrinsic muscles around that scap are really being recruited there. That's the benefit of the bottoms up kettlebell. We tend to, how we program that, we do our movement preparation, a bit of activation. We may put that at the start of our sessions. It's the whole bulletproofing of the shoulder. If you're looking to, let's just say you're doing a dumbbell press and one of the next exercises is actually a dumbbell floor press. Let's say you're trying to drive strength-based adaptations through the upper body in the most safe and effective way. We know that unless we've got stability around that shoulder joint, we're not really going to be able to do that. So nice one to throw in there, that dumbbell floor press, Mr. Cordina there. Boxer's shoulders, I'm sure the guys have spoken about it again there. Do we want to be kind of bench pressing the boxers? Probably not, because of the hand position, the internal rotation of the shoulder. Shoulders tend to be pretty beaten up. We need to take a safety first approach when it comes to the boxer's shoulder. So how can we drive the adaptation without putting them in the risk zone? So everything we do, and that's why I'd like to explain these exercises and the rationale behind my why for them, comes on the risk-reward continuum. You have the risk of an exercise and what you're getting out of the exercise. And if the risk comes anywhere near the reward, we do not touch it. You've probably heard it said before, an athlete's best ability is their availability. You know, I think, Ian, you might have said there in terms of the athlete's not doing S&C and they just want to box. Well, if we can connect the dots with the language of saying you just want to box, well, this is why we're doing it, to do boom, 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 that's going to allow you to box. And that's the merging of the two to get the buy-in from the athlete, as long as you can connect the dots and communicate properly. So yeah, dumbbell floor press will just allow for that. You can't go beyond that alignment. You don't get that kick in or protraction, internal rotation of the shoulder, and then you can drive up. It's also pretty good, you find, for developing starting strength. Little pause can dissipate the use of the stretch shortening cycle, so it's kind of good for the force end of the continuum. You may have, if anyone does follow me on social, seen Connor do the hand-supported split squat. Great exercise, and I'll be honest with you, he's just done 182 kilos as a PB for a 67 kilo male. It's frightening, you know, the improvements this kid makes every single camp and the buy-in that I get. But again, going back to the isometric split squat, we're looking at joint angle specificity. Why would you use the safety bar? Very general term, but I think generally speaking, the boxer's posture, forward head, rounded in thoracic, you know, and do we really want to dump a heavy bar on their back? You know, it's for them to get into that position, access that position. They have to go into the Nicki Minaj effect, the lumbar extension. We've then, as we were speaking, rib cage to pelvis dissociation. You've then just put, well, I'm not putting 185 kilos on his back because he'll crumble. Athlete's best ability is their availability. Great thing about the safety bar, you can get the posterior loading in, which, by the way, 185 kilos on someone's back, the isometric trunk control there, pretty damn good. Some guys I know in Sheffield have done some great research on trunk mass and punching power. So yeah, the direct correlation between the two. So yeah, locking yourself in here, we love a safety bar, okay? So that's the rationale there. And then, yeah, Anderson squat, quarter, half squat. Now, this one's quite funny, actually, is because I said to Connor one day, I said, listen, if you're going to post this, you're going to get ripped for this, all right? He said, I don't care. Within 30 seconds, we had a HGV driver from Hull sliding into the message and saying, you bunch of boom, 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 that's not a squat. No squats were done that day. Again, it's understanding your why. Do we have to go ass to grass all the time? No. Do we go, you know, beyond 90? Sometimes. In a preparatory phase, you know, when we're building back up. But then again, it's knowing what is the why. Why would we do an Anderson squat? Again, if we're trying to drive more force production qualities, then we're working through a slightly shorter, if it's half or quarter squat, a slightly shorter knee flexion, shorter range of motion will allow us to get maybe super maximal loading. So more than what we can do with a conventional squat because the reduce in range. We again use the safety bar for this one. We pause and then drive. There's also minimal eccentric stress involved, which again, talk about boxes and planning weekly schedules. We don't want fighters fatigued. We want to drive the adaptation, keep them fresh, whilst, you know, minimizing the amount of fatigue that that you induce upon them. Today's delivery was on building a better athlete, so quite a broad overview, but it was just to give my take on all things high performance and what I think can drive performance forwards for the athletes. Yeah, it was the kind of the whys behind specific exercises, how to work as part of a cohesive team, how to monitor readiness as well to train. You know, I think the recovery optimization is really important, especially in a sport like boxing, where the guys and girls, you know, train pretty damn hard. Yeah, hopefully there was some value in it for everyone here at the Boxing Science Conference. It's great to see everyone here trying to get that little bit better to drive performance forward in a sport that we care so much about.